We're here at the CCA workbench. And Dave, you know, sometimes you got to operate outside of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah, I
You
bet.
and I have been
Well,
fishing saltwater our whole lives.
That's why I have Johnny Jice, man. He's
Yeah.
helping me out. So he turned me on to that Nico rig last week that I'd never used before. I posted a thing on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. You go take a look at that bass I caught in my backyard, which gets hammered. My backyard gets hammered by all new stuff all the time. It's hard to catch a bass there sometimes, and that Nico rig worked for me.
Didn't you say you caught one fish that was 5 pounds?
Yeah, I caught 3 before. I think that was the third one. I caught one, and then a 5-pounder on it. I was going, oh, I love this rig. So,
Yeah, man.
Anyway, well, this is another rig from Johnny. This is called the Ned rig, and it's a finesse rig as well. It's for when you go small and you want to try to get bites when you can't get bites, or if you want to search a lot of area. And the key to this little bait is this mushroom head, and this is even a big one. Believe it or not, they usually use a 1/16 or even a 1/32.
And you can rig this either weedless by screwing the worm into the
You could, but you usually don't even do that. I put that screw is on there because I can't find hardly any mushroom heads around here that don't have a screw. This is what it's actually supposed to look like without a screw head. It's supposed to be the mushroom head jig. This is a big one. Really a big one. This is a 4-inch one. Most of the time they're going to be 3 inches long, and I think this is an 1/8 ounce or even, it was a lot bigger. But the point is, it's supposed to have a mushroom head, and that mushroom head makes it sink a little slower, especially when it's that small size, that 1/16 size.
Here's a little tiny.
Exactly, and it sinks down, and what it can do, it can sit on top of heavy grass,
Right.
And you can jig it and move it when it's really small like that, and it's neutrally buoyant because you got that little head and a kind of a fat body. They'll use a sluggo. They'll cut a sluggo, a 6-inch sluggo in half, a stick bait, and they'll use that so it's kind of a fat body sometimes, and that gives it a neutral buoyancy. So you can work that thing in a lot of different ways.
But let's stop on that for 1 second. You and I both, I think, agree that when fish, whether saltwater or freshwater, are difficult,
Go smaller.
you go down in size
that's
in your
true.
presentation.
Yeah, well, big fish, you hear that big fish eat big baits, and that's true. But every day is not Thanksgiving.
Right.
Most of the time they're eating smaller stuff.
Right.
And if you're having trouble getting a bite, always go down in size, and that's what's really good for these. They're great for searching, and probably the best way to fish this little thing is they'll get in kind of a shallow water, and they'll fish it just straight right over the top of the grass, just a steady retrieve,
So that
just
it
right
just
over
makes
the
a little
top. Doesn't even hardly do anything. It's just a little bugger that's moving along, and they see it and go get it. Or you can hop it. You can hop it on the ground like a little minnow or something. But it pick up and glide. It's good around docks. One thing about these things though, if you feel like you're getting a bite, it's good not to set the hook real hard on them, because the body is a little fat, and when you have the proper size hook, which is kind of a big hook and the big jig sticking out, the hook is not that far out of this thing. So when if you jerk it real fast, you have a chance of jerking it right out of his mouth. It's best to let him go ahead and take it and swim away with it, and then just reel tight, which is a great way to hook a lot of different things, believe it or not. A lot of guys jerk when they don't have to.
Let's talk a little bit about these creature baits quickly.
Okay, well these are swim jigs, and a swim jig is kind of like that Ned bait, except on a bigger scale. And these swim jigs are made. It's kind of like a spinner bait without the spinner. It's to be a little bit more stealthy, not a big thumping bait. When the fish get tired of all that thump stuff they're seeing all the time, sometimes they want something a little more stealthy. And what they'll do is they'll fish these triangular headed baits. They got a big flat bottom on the bottom of the jig, so that kind of stays up a little bit and planes in the water a little better. Some of them even have the tie going through the inside of the jig head to make it stay up. And what you'll do is you'll just fish that in shallow water right above the grass again, or in deep water you can drop it down and let it slowly dig down, and then just hop it back to you, or just retrieve and stop, and let it go and then stop, and then go and then stop. And fish love it. That's another great bait for if you don't know where they are, or if you've got a big flat expanse and you think there's fish scattered on it. this is a good fish finding rig. And you can put any kind of trailer you want.
Yeah,
you know?
it doesn't necessarily have to be a frog. It can be a
No, it
lizard.
can be a lizard, a crawdad. It can be a paddle tail.
Something with a paddle tail.
You just got to make sure you don't get something so big that you can't keep it up in the water column like you want to, because it's a swim jig. If you wanted, if you wanted to fish it on the bottom, you can put a great big thing on there and a heavier weight and punch through lily pads and whatnot. But this is a swim jig.
And Dave, you were slightly worried about not being able to talk about this whole time.
Well, I like to use the stuff, so.
Hey, I like the fact that you went home and tried out last
that Nico
week's
thing was good, boy.
Nico
Nico rig.
All right.
Practice what we preach here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, don't we?
Yes, we do.